Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for being here. I want to say to the Lillis family, my sympathies go to you and your family for what you've gone through, and my gratitude goes to you for continuing the cause of air safety in memory of your loss. Senator Duckworth, my colleague, being a helicopter pilot and knowing aviation inside and out, has briefed me on what happened that terrible evening. I bet I've flown that configuration 1,000 times as a passenger. We've got to do something, and thank you for reminding us of our responsibility. Secretary Duffy, when we met, we talked about Chicago and aspects of Illinois that I'm representing and concerned about. And Chicago, of course, is the rail hub of North America, more track radiating in more directions than any other city, 25% of all freight trains, 50% of all intermodal trains go through that city, and we need help. We talked about commitments that have been made, work that is being done. It's all good. But the next aspect of it is the continuation of a grant, a $93 million grant, which for some reason has been held up. So I'll ask you to please have your staff put it on the list and try to figure out what we can do to get this moving forward. It is critical for efficient train operation in our country. Are you familiar with it?
So, not specifically, Senator. I know that we have approved 13 grant agreements over the last several months for $270 million. When we came into office, there were 89 awards without grant agreements. So we're moving through the backlog in your state, but the backlog is real in Illinois.
Good.
But by the way, I am aware of listen, there's a lot of infrastructure. Again, you have the Great Lakes, you have rail, you are a central hub, especially in Chicago. I know that in Wisconsin, we do appreciate your support of the Packers. We know you're a fan.
Take those words down. Let me raise another issue. With all the time that I spend on airplanes, millions of miles, not as much as Brian Schatz, but close to it, you come to really appreciate not only the pilots, the professional crew, but certainly the flight attendants and the important work that they are engaged in. And so I found it kind of interesting recently when I observed that there is a growing trend on the planes that I fly on. After the safety announcements, after we are all seatbelts on, then the advertising of credit cards and frequent flyer programs begins. And you wonder why, of all the things that they could talk about, and I wish most of the time they talked about none of it, why would they pick that? Well, it's because, sadly, some of the major airlines make more money on their credit cards and frequent flyer programs than on air operations. I didn't believe that until I saw it in print. It's a fact. And you have to ask yourself, who is at least making sure that the passenger gets fair treatment in the frequent flyer programs? I've introduced legislation to do that. So we could work together, I hope, and make certain that there's honesty in terms of dealing with these frequent flyer miles. They mean an awful lot to many people. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do, Senator, there's going to be a lot of things we agree on. That is one we will not agree on. When I was in the House, I was on the opposite side of this issue than you were. I do think a lot of people in America aren't able to afford a trip. They oftentimes will use their points, whether it's for a hotel or for an airline ticket. And I think that's a value for folks. What I would support, though, is I think that, if there's, and we're seeing this more and more, if there's an extra fee that you want to charge for using a credit card with merchants, I think that's appropriate. So the consumer's paying for the cost of the card.
This is a separate issue. Senator Marshall and I are keeping this separate.
You are okay.
What we're trying to do.
What is this issue is?
We're trying to make sure that when they say that you have so many points and it equals so many benefits that you can use on that airline, that there be disclosure so the customer knows when they change the rules. Right now.
So I'd like to learn more about that. I'm very astute at. I think I have a credit card for all the airlines, and I know which ones are better than others, and all hotels too. I guess I would love to partner with you and look at what you're considering on the transparency side.
Just to make sure there's fairness to the passengers and disclosures if there are changes in policy. That's all.
I'm all about transparency and fairness.
On the other issue, I've given up on you long ago. So thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator.